Some mysteries fade with time. Others grow darker. The more we investigate them, the less sense they make. Tonight, we're diving into 10 real mysteries that were never solved. No clear answers, no confirmed explanations, just unanswered questions that refuse to disappear. Some of these cases are decades old, some are centuries old, and one happened in our lifetime. Despite modern technology, despite global investigations, despite relentless curiosity, the truth remains hidden. You're about to hear about a legendary aviator who vanished mid-flight, 9 hikers who fled their tent into the freezing night, a man who hijacked a plane and disappeared into thin air, a coded manuscript no one on Earth can read, and a commercial airliner that simply vanished. These aren't urban legends, they're real, and by the end of this video, you may find yourself wondering, are some mysteries meant to stay unsolved? Let's begin. 1. The disappearance of Amelia Earhart. In 1937, one of the most famous women in the world climbed into a plane and flew into history. Her name was Amelia Earhart. She wasn't just a pilot, she was a pioneer, the first woman to fly solo across the Atlantic Ocean, a global symbol of courage. But her final flight would become aviation's greatest mystery. Amelia and her navigator Fred Noonan were attempting something extraordinary to circumnavigate the globe, nearly 29,000 miles. By June of 1937, they had completed most of the journey. Only one major stretch remained, a long, isolated flight over the Pacific Ocean toward a tiny speck of land called Howland Island. On July 2nd, they took off from Lae, New Guinea. At first, communication seemed normal. Then, the radio messages became strained. Amelia reported low fuel. She said they couldn't see the island. The U.S. Coast Guard cutter stationed nearby could hear her voice, but she couldn't hear them clearly. Her final transmission was chilling. "We are running north and south." And then, silence. The U.S. launched one of the largest search operations in history at the time. Ships, aircraft, weeks of scanning thousands of square miles. Nothing. No wreckage, no confirmed crash site, no bodies. Over the years, theories exploded. Some believe she simply ran out of fuel and crashed into the ocean, lost forever in the Pacific depths. Others claim she landed on a remote island and died as a castaway. And then there are the more controversial theories that she was captured by Japanese forces and secretly held. Decades later, advanced sonar searches have scanned the ocean floor. Still nothing definitive. Nearly 90 years have passed, and the Pacific Ocean keeps its secret. 2. The Dyatlov Pass Incident. If Amelia Earhart's disappearance was vast and silent, this mystery was violent and terrifying. It happened in 1959. 9 experienced hikers from the Ural Polytechnic Institute set out on a winter expedition in the Ural Mountains of Russia. They were skilled, disciplined, prepared. Their leader was Igor Dyatlov. The trip was supposed to be challenging, but not deadly. When they failed to return on schedule, a search party was sent out. What they found made no sense. The group's tent was discovered first. It was partially collapsed, and it had been cut open from the inside. Imagine that. Instead of exiting normally, they sliced their way out into the freezing night. Footprints showed they fled barefoot, some in socks, into temperatures below -20 degrees Celsius. Their bodies were found scattered in the snow, hundreds of meters away. 2 were discovered under a cedar tree, hands burned as if they had tried to climb it or light a fire. 3 more were found between the tree and the tent, as if they had tried to crawl back. The last 4 weren't discovered until months later, buried under snow in a ravine. And their injuries were disturbing. One had a fractured skull, another had massive chest trauma compared to the force of a car crash. One was missing her tongue. There were no signs of a struggle with another person, no footprints from outsiders, no evidence of animals. Even stranger, some clothing tested positive for radiation. The official Soviet report concluded it was caused by a compelling natural force. But what force makes trained hikers slash their tent open and run half-dressed into lethal cold? Over the years, explanations have ranged from an avalanche, secret military weapon tests, infrasound-induced panic, even something not entirely human. In 2020, Russian authorities revisited the case and officially blamed an avalanche, but critics argue the terrain and evidence don't fully support it. 9 young people entered the mountains, none came back, and whatever happened that night, they ran from something. 3. The D.B. Cooper hijacking. On November 24, 1971, the day before Thanksgiving, a man walked into an airport in Portland, Oregon. He bought a one-way ticket under the name Dan Cooper. He wore a business suit, dark tie, sunglasses. Nothing about him seemed unusual. He boarded Northwest Orient Airlines Flight 305 headed to Seattle. Shortly after takeoff, he handed a note to a flight attendant. At first, she ignored it. He leaned closer and quietly said, "Miss, you better look at that note. I have a bomb." Inside his briefcase were red cylinders and wires. He demanded $200,000 in cash, 4 parachutes, and a fuel truck waiting in Seattle. He was calm, polite, almost professional. The plane landed, passengers were released, his demands were met. Then he ordered the plane back into the air. Somewhere over the dark forests of Washington state, he lowered the rear staircase of the Boeing 727 and jumped into the freezing night, with $200,000 strapped to him. No one saw him land. An enormous FBI search followed. Forests combed, rivers searched. Nothing. No body, no parachute, no confirmed identity. Did he survive and escape? Or did he die in the wilderness? More than 50 years later, D.B. Cooper remains the only unsolved skyjacking case in American history. He vanished into thin air and became a legend. 4. The Zodiac Killer. In the late 1960s, Northern California lived in fear. A killer was targeting young couples. He called himself the Zodiac. He didn't just murder, he wrote letters to newspapers, taunting police, mocking investigators, claiming responsibility. Inside some letters were cryptograms, coded messages. One of them read, "I like killing people because it is so much fun." He promised more killings. He demanded his cipher be published on the front page or he would continue killing. Police confirmed at least 5 victims. The Zodiac claimed 37. Witnesses described a stocky white male. A sketch was released, but no arrest was ever made. One suspect, Arthur Lee Allen, was heavily investigated, but fingerprints and DNA didn't conclusively match. In 2020, one of the Zodiac ciphers was finally decoded by amateur codebreakers, but it didn't reveal his identity. It only deepened the mystery. Did he stop killing? Did he die unnoticed? Or did he live a normal life, blending into society? He wanted fame. He achieved something worse: immortality.
5. The Somerton Man. December 1st, 1948. A man's body was found on Somerton Beach in Australia. He was well dressed, no visible injuries, no signs of struggle, but he had no identification, no wallet. All labels had been cut from his clothing. An autopsy found no clear cause of death. Inside a hidden pocket in his pants was a small scrap of paper. It read, "Tamam shud," a Persian phrase meaning, "it is ended." The words had been torn from a rare book of poetry. Police eventually located the exact book. Inside it was a strange handwritten code. No one has ever cracked it. The case sparked theories of espionage. Was he a spy during the early Cold War? Was the code a secret message? In recent years, DNA analysis suggested a possible identity. But even if his name is finally confirmed, the bigger question remains. How did he die? And why was he carrying a coded message no one understands? Even in death, he left only questions. Number 6. The Elisa Lam Case. In 2013, 21-year-old Canadian student Elisa Lam checked into the Cecil Hotel in Los Angeles. Days later, she vanished. Police searched the building. No sign of her. Then, hotel guests began complaining about low water pressure and strange taste in the water. Maintenance workers checked the rooftop water tanks. Inside one of them, they found Elisa's body. But what shocked the world was the elevator footage released earlier. In the video, she behaves strangely, pressing multiple buttons, stepping in and out, hiding in the corner, gesturing as if speaking to someone unseen. The elevator doors refused to close. The footage went viral. Internet theories exploded. Was someone following her? Was it paranormal? Was she hiding? The official ruling was accidental drowning, with bipolar disorder contributing to erratic behavior. But many questions remain. How did she access the rooftop locked? Why were there no clear signs of forced entry? Was it a tragic mental health crisis? Or something more? The elevator video still circulates online. Unsettling, unexplained. Number 7. The Mary Celeste. In December of 1872, a ship was discovered drifting in the Atlantic Ocean. Her name was the Mary Celeste. From a distance, she looked fine. Her sails were partially set, her hull intact. But when another vessel boarded her, they found something chilling. The ship was completely abandoned. No crew, no passengers. The captain's belongings were still inside, cargo untouched, food and water supplies still stocked. The only thing missing was the lifeboat. Just weeks earlier, the Mary Celeste had departed from New York bound for Italy with 10 people aboard, including the captain's wife and young daughter. There were no signs of struggle, no blood, no damage suggesting piracy. The logbook's last entry showed nothing unusual. It was as if everyone had calmly stepped off the ship and vanished into the sea. Theories flooded in. Pirates? But nothing valuable was taken. Mutiny? No evidence. A seaquake? Alcohol fumes from cargo causing panic? Some suggest the crew feared an explosion and temporarily abandoned ship, only to be separated and lost forever. But if that's true, why was the vessel still seaworthy? Over 150 years later, the Mary Celeste remains one of the greatest maritime mysteries in history. An empty ship, sailing alone. Number 8. The disappearance of Jimmy Hoffa. In 1975, Jimmy Hoffa was one of the most powerful labor union leaders in America. He had connections, influence, and enemies. After serving time in prison, Hoffa was trying to regain control of the Teamsters Union. On July 30th, 1975, he went to a restaurant in suburban Detroit for a meeting with alleged mafia figures. He arrived early, waited, called his wife to say no one had shown up yet. That was the last confirmed contact. His car was later found in the parking lot, but Hoffa was gone. The FBI launched a massive investigation. For decades, tips poured in. He was buried under a football stadium. He was cremated. He was sealed in concrete.
Excavations have taken place across multiple states. Nothing conclusive. In 1982, Jimmy Hoffa was declared legally dead, but no body has ever been found. Some believe the truth is known, just never proven. Others think it was the perfect prime, one of the most powerful men in America, erased. Number 9. The Voynich Manuscript. Imagine opening a book written 600 years ago. Now imagine realizing no one on Earth can read it. The Voynich Manuscript is a handwritten book filled with strange illustrations, unknown plants, astronomical diagrams, naked figures in mysterious baths, and text written in a language that doesn't exist anywhere else. Carbon dating places it in the early 1400s. Cryptographers have studied it for a century. Even modern artificial intelligence has tried to decode it. Nothing definitive. Some believe it's a lost language. Others think it's an elaborate medieval hoax. But if it's a hoax, why go through the effort of writing hundreds of pages in consistent script? The patterns in the writing resemble real language structures, which suggests meaning, hidden knowledge, or a cipher never meant to be cracked. For 600 years it has sat in libraries, silent, unreadable, guarding whatever message lies inside. Number 10. Malaysian Airlines Flight 370. On March 8, 2014, a commercial airplane took off from Kuala Lumpur. 239 people were on board. Less than an hour into the flight, the plane disappeared from radar. No distress call, no emergency signal, nothing. Military radar showed it had turned around. Then it flew for hours over the Indian Ocean. Satellite pings suggested it continued long after contact was lost. Then, silence. The largest search effort in aviation history began. Countries across the globe joined. Ships, planes, deep-sea sonar scans. Years later, small pieces of debris washed ashore on distant islands, confirmed to be from the plane. But the main wreckage has never been found. Theories range from pilot suicide, hijacking, catastrophic decompression, mechanical failure. Some even suggest a deliberate attempt to make the plane disappear. But without the black boxes, no one knows. Hundreds of families still wait for answers. In the modern age of GPS and satellites, an entire plane vanished. Final thoughts. We like to believe that every mystery can be solved, that with enough technology, enough time, enough effort, the truth will surface. But these cases challenge that belief. A pilot lost over open water, hikers running into freezing darkness, a hijacker who vanished mid-air, a killer who teased the world, an empty ship drifting alone, a body with a coded message, a manuscript no one can read, a plane that disappeared in our lifetime. Some mysteries may eventually be explained, others may never be. And maybe that's what unsettles us the most. Because if answers don't always come, then uncertainty is part of reality. So now, I'll ask you, which of these mysteries do you think will be solved first? And which one is meant to stay in the dark? If you enjoyed this deep dive into the unknown, make sure to subscribe, because there are many more mysteries waiting. And next time, we go even deeper.